I've lived in the same hillside neighborhood in Northern California for most of my adult life. I came here in the late 80s, long before the fancy gated developments went up. Back then, the hill was quiet. We had deer in the yard every morning and a view of the valley that looked like a postcard. Over the years the area changed, and the older homes like mine ended up next to rows of expensive new builds. The driveways were perfect, the lawns looked like golf courses, and the owners liked to remind everyone how much they paid for the view. When the HOA came along, it was supposed to help with trimming the shared road and keeping the hillside planted. For a while that worked fine. Then a new board took over. These folks treated the hill like their personal kingdom. They enforced rules about mailbox height and threatened fines if someone's trash bins stayed out an hour too long. Most of us tried to stay out of their way. A year before everything fell apart, we had a winter that wouldn't quit. Rain came hard for weeks. The ground stayed soggy long after the storms passed. I've lived on this hill long enough to know what that means. When the soil soaks through, parts of the slope loosen. It's slow at first. A little crack here. A bit of settling, sir. But if you ignore the signs, the hill can shift all at once. One afternoon he noticed a hairline crack in the pavement where the shared road curves above the newest homes. He walked the ridge and he found a row of pine trees leaning just a touch more than they used to. The roots were lifting the soil. A small spring had opened up that he had never seen before. He didn't panic, but he knew what he was looking at. He mailed the HOA with photos and he told them the hill needed a geological survey. He said the soil was moving and the new drain lines the HOA installed last year might be making it worse. The response arrived the next morning. It was short and sharp. Your concerns are noted. The board believes the hill is stable. Stop causing alarm. He wrote back again, this time attaching older pictures of the same areas so they could see the changes. Number 1 replied. A week later, the crack in the pavement grew long enough that you could slide a stick into it. He warned the board again. One member finally called me. He said, the engineers who built these homes were professionals. We aren't spending money on a study because one neighbor thinks the sky is falling. He tried once more. He stood up at a monthly HOA meeting and he explained the history of the hill. He talked about the storms in the 90s, the small slide we had in 2005, and the patch job the county did back then. The board barely listened. One of the newer homeowners even laughed and he said, if something happens, insurance will take care of it. So he stepped back. He figured I'd done what he could. The slide happened 2 months later. It was early spring. We had a steady rainfall that soaked the ground all night. Around 4 in the morning, he woke up to a deep rumble, almost like a train in the distance. The windows shook. My first thought was an earthquake, but the ground didn't jolt. It moved like something heavy was slipping away. He ran outside with a flashlight. My yard was fine. The old part of the hill was holding steady, but down the slope, the land had given way. The row of new houses, the ones sitting right under the cracked road, had shifted forward. One porch had collapsed. A grass slid halfway off its foundation. The hillside looked like a tilted chessboard. Neighbors came out in robes and slippers, staring in disbelief. The streetlights caught the mud pouring across the driveways. A few folks were crying. Others stood in silence, watching the hill sink inch by inch. Thankfully number 1 was hurt, but several of those million-dollar homes were no more longer safe to live in. County crews arrived at sunrise. They taped off the area and they told everyone to evacuate the lower section of the road. Later in the afternoon, an inspector leaned close to me and he said, this didn't happen overnight. The soil's been moving for months. Someone should have caught this. The HOA called an emergency meeting the next week. Now they wanted to hear everything he had tried to tell them. The president asked when he first noticed the crack. He reminded her he had emailed twice. Another board member asked about the trees. He said the roots were warning signs. He didn't raise my voice. He didn't say he told them so. But they knew. Insurance didn't cover everything. Homeowners ended up in a long dispute with the HOA about responsibility. Lawyers got involved. Some families moved away. The brand new homes on the lower stretch were eventually condemned. The board that ignored my warnings resigned within the year. The hill has been quiet again lately. The county installed proper drainage, reinforced the slope, and they replanted the hillside with deep-rooted shrubs. Every time you walk that stretch now, you think about how simple it would have been for the HOA to take a few photos seriously. If you enjoyed the story, please like the video and subscribe for more.